Hello and welcome to UAT Time within the United Countries special by First Ukraine. You can find us on the frequencies available on our website, firstuaid.com. I'm Sergey Velichanskiy.
And I am Olivier Vedrine. UAT Time is dedicated to bring Ukraine and Europe closer to each other by introducing the real Ukraine to the rest of the world.
France was one of the first countries which had implemented sanctions on Russia as a reaction to Crimea annexation. And ever since, they participated in a variety of work groups of different levels in order to help reach peace in Ukraine and restore original borders control.
Our guest today is Isabelle Dumont, the ambassador of France to Ukraine. Welcome.
Welcome.
Bienvenue.
Thank you very much for finding time and stopping by. Since your country has been so helpful in especially recent couple of years, we definitely have a lot of things to talk about. But before we touch on politics and all the conflict issues, the French cultural events in Ukraine are still very popular. For example, the French Spring is highly anticipated each year. With all of the things that take place, will there still be events like this?
Sure, there will be, and more than ever. There has been last year 70,000 people going to different events organized in the French Spring. This year it will be in April again, from the 2nd of April to the 30th of April, the whole month. It's going to be a huge event. I can tell you that all the embassy is already working on it, has been working on it for several weeks and months. We are going to have a grand opening in Kiev in a large street performance. I hope that many people are going to come, not only Kievians, but also maybe people from other cities to be with us. And there will be, for example, a street art in Kiev, also in Dnipropetrovsk, theater performances, concerts, exhibitions, like every year. And this year, it's going to be my first time as ambassador, as I just started in September in my duty. And I can tell you I'm very enthusiastic of having this French Spring in 2-3 months.
And what about other events you talk about? We spoke about cinema also?
Yeah, we're going to have lots of cultural events this year, as every year, and I will do my best to support it. Starting now, in the coming days, we're going to have the French Nights of the Cinema, French Cinema Nights all over Ukraine also, from the 28th of January to the 3rd of February. So it's coming up now in Kiev, in Kharkiv, Odessa, Dnipropetrovsk, in Lviv, Vinnytsia, Chernivtsi, Mariupol, Zaporozhye, and Zhytomyr. So lots of cities in Ukraine with those specific nights of the French cinema, with Jacques Audiard, Patrice Lecomte movies, Louis Garrel, etc., many French movies. So I really invite people to go there.
You talk also about French Good France?
Good de France is Good de France is also a special event that's going to take place on the 21st of March, all over Ukraine. There is a sort of word play with the name of the event that is not only in Ukraine but all over the world, in all capitals and many cities in the world. The name is Goût de France, Taste of France, but if you take the English sort of version, it gives Good France. You know, nice France.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for this world event, all the French cooks are organizing themselves to organize dinners and lunch in different restaurants and cities. I'm going to host a lunch, obviously. In Ukraine, we have, as for now, 12 restaurants that have submitted a request to organize a French lunch or dinner, so maybe others would like to do so, but this is going to be a very nice event.
We talked about culture, yes, and that's very interesting, but another part, here in Kiev, they are very proud about Under Kiev. And they want to know if in France also we know this part of the history with Ukraine.
You're talking about Anne of Kiev.
And the Kiev, yes.
Okay.
In France and the Kiev.
It's like you're speaking English, but you're using the...
Yeah, the French,
and the
Kiev. It's Anna from Kiev, Anna of Kiev.
Of Kiev.
Yeah.
Kiev, yeah.
Yeah, it's before talking about Under Kiev, I just wanted to, if you allow me, to talk about another very important cultural event that is going to be the Francophonie, the week of the Francophonie, that is going to take place from the 12th to the 30th of March, which also is a very important event all over the world, but specifically in Ukraine. And I know that Ukrainians are waiting for that. And we are going to organize specifically a video, concours video in Ukraine. And one of the prizes of this will be to go to France. So again, I invite people. And I just wanted to show this is the program of the French Institute with lots and lots of events. We touched upon just a few of them, but this is all the events that are going to take place in 2016. Please go on the website of the French Embassy and the French Institute. You'll have all the information.
They are very dynamic and a lot of events with the French Institute.
Yeah.
That's good. Actually, I have some connection with some of representatives of French culture back there, but well, not necessarily French culture because it's global, but a French representative from that culture. I'm talking about breakdance. We had about 10 years ago, we had one representative from a breakdance scene from France travel here and performing, and he is still one of the top in the world.
And you performed with him?
No, I produced it, so I just managed him to come here. It was quite a challenge as well, I'll tell you. But anyway, there is a lot of interesting things.
Yes, and then we talk about culture. Francophonie is very important for France, and you know that even in Ukraine you have a lot of university where you can learn French.
I know, and you know, I've been visiting, again, I've been here only for 4 months, but I've already been visiting some cities here in Ukraine, and you cannot imagine as an ambassador of France how important, how deep feeling I get when I go to universities and schools, visiting schools in, like, for example, in Mariupol, where I went at the very beginning after I came here. And you have those kids, 10 years old, 12 years old, who speak French to you as French people, with a slight accent, but you know, and it's incredible. And you have they want France, they want some piece of France. And indeed, there are a lot of people in Ukraine who really love France, so I want to support that.
Then I want to come back to the question about the history.
Yeah, historical connections.
Yeah, because maybe the Ukrainian people, they really love France, but maybe because of this common history and because of Under Kiev, maybe you can talk about.
Sure, Under Kiev, as we say in French, Anna of Kiev. She was a princess in the 11th century, but I know most Ukrainians know that. Less French people probably, but she was married to Henri I, Henry I, and she was the mother of Philippe, so that's about 10 centuries ago. And she actually happened to be the Queen of France because when Henri I died in 1060, the future king was too small, and she happened to be the mother queen and to be at the head of the French state for quite a while. So we have this very important historical link between Ukraine and France. And then you have many other examples, as Honoré de Balzac, a huge French author, writer, who married a lady in Ukraine, next to Zhytomyr, in Ukraine. So we have those cultural, historical links that are really profound and that we can work on to continue cooperating together.
Plus, in many ways, Ukraine is quite agricultural. In some ways, France as well. So there is a lot of similarities, even in mentality,
exactly,
and issues like that.
And I want also to add something. You have also this big person in Ukraine, the historical person, Philippe Orlik, who went to France. Philippe Orlik, the famous Philippe Orlik, who wrote the first constitution of Ukraine and the first constitution of Europe.
Yeah, we have.
He went to France.
And coming back to agriculture, as you mentioned it, this is one of the main fields of cooperation between us. Can you believe it? In the French embassy, I have an agriculture attaché, someone specific who comes from the Ministry of Agriculture of France and who is really good helping Ukrainian government and helping to develop cooperation in the agriculture field, which is very important.
All right. Well, in the recent couple of years with the conflict in the east of Ukraine and with the Crimea annexation, have our relationships have been subject to change for better or for or what? How would you describe our relationships right now because of this conflict?
What I can tell you is that in my career as a diplomat, as a French civil servant in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I've never seen such an involvement of the French authorities to support a country in my personal career. I was, just before being appointed as ambassador to Ukraine, I was in the French Foreign Ministry in Paris dealing with a crisis. So I've been following the whole thing and working on the Ukraine crisis since the beginning. And I can tell you the involvement of the French president, of the French foreign minister are huge. And this is something, those ties already, unfortunately, for 2 years, show to what extent France is a real friend of Ukraine.
And I have the information that the President François Hollande, for the President François Hollande, the Ukraine is a priority field.
Yeah, he said it actually.
Yeah.
You might have heard it yesterday, some days ago, when he spoke for the New Year, and he indeed said that Ukraine is going to remain a priority, and it is very clear. Yeah.
He's made a few quite strong, suggestions. Sound quite strong because it states in some of the media that Mr. Hollande urges Ukraine to adopt constitutional changes in line with Minsk agreements, and so he's pretty much insisting to go this path, which, as far as we understand, our president, Petro Poroshenko, has never refused to go, and he's doing his best to follow. But I want to maybe, in one of your speeches, you stated that constitutional reform, especially in the part of decentralization, is a defining one to connect future of Ukraine with Europe. Would you please give a little more on that? Because decentralization issue, especially in the area of special status for the so-called, for those little territories which are now being occupied, that's a very sensitive and very touchy issue right now.
It is, yeah. It is, we know that, obviously. That's part of the Minsk agreements, decentralization, the famous package of measures, how it is called. First, I really want to remind that France is here to support Ukraine with Germany, hand in hand. We are, France and Germany, the famous couple, as we call it within the European Union. This Franco-German couple has been here to support Ukraine since the beginning of the conflict and the Russian aggression towards Ukraine. The decentralization that is being organized little by little, and for which we are providing quite a lot of support to Ukraine, because you cannot just do it like that. I mean, this is a lot of work. This is about training people who are going to do the job in municipalities and also in the capital city. So this is part of the Minsk package. So that's why we really want helping Ukraine to support, and as you said, President Poroshenko and Ukrainian authorities want to implement the Minsk package. There is no doubt about it. On decentralization, in France and in many other countries, but in France we did it in 1982. Yes. We started to do it in 1982. This is a long process. This is something you don't do in 1 year. This is something you have to prepare, decide, and then build upon. And this is, even now, there are discussions in France, even now, 30 years later, there are discussions about how to organize decentralization. We just changed our regions, for example, in France. We just changed the number of regions, what we call the région. There was a change just 1 month ago, 2 months ago. So this is not an easy task, and everybody knows that in France, I can assure you. We understand how touchy it is for Ukraine, but we're here to support Ukraine, to help implementing it.
Well, at least there are some mistakes that we can learn from. You know, if you, in the 30 years
Maybe,
of
probably,
the process...
And it's not only France, and as you asked the question about the link with Europe, the only thing I meant and I mean is, if you look at the recent history of most states in Europe, most of them are decentralized. Most of them are decentralized. So what we did in France in '82 has been done in other countries in Europe, and this is probably the way to give citizens a hold on their future. That's the idea, and that's something which Ukrainians first of all want. That's what I hear also when I visit cities in Ukraine. That's something I hear. People want to have a hold on their future.
But unfortunately, this good process of decentralization is connected to this touchy issue of special status. Because in some way, you know, in the Minsk agreements, there are some conditions that not only the special status, first of all, it's temporary for 3 years, but secondly, it has to come along in the package with the securing the border again, and then elections under the Ukrainian and international laws. So it's that's where, you know, I think why Minsk agreements, you know, move so slowly, the implementations, because from one side, this, you know, ceasefire has to have been in place since, I think, what, February last year. But even like yesterday, there was 69 shelling of our positions again. And so now we're back to where we started.
It's not back to where you were. You have to remember, and we tend to forget, people tend to forget, but we have to remember what was the situation in August 2014, in January 2015. Remember those moments where dozens of people were dying each day. So that was a horrible period. I remember I was in Paris and I was terrified. You know, we had to find a solution for those people not to die anymore. So that was the situation where we were, and also with troops going into the territory. So that's the Minsk agreement on the 12th of February helped really stop it. And now I totally agree with you. We still have too many people killed, too many violations of ceasefire, that's for sure. But we are in a new phase where we have less losses of life. But now we have to continue to build on that, and this is what we are trying to do. But I agree. I mean, first thing to do is obviously having security. Security is a starter, and then you have to build the other things together. But political issues have to be dealt with also. This is really something to keep a link with this region. I think is really essential.
Yes, and maybe we can talk about this visit of those two French and German diplomatic advisors at the beginning of this week. And can you speak more about that? Give to us some information, if you can.
Well, what I can tell you is that there was indeed the mid-January the visit of Jacques Audibert and Christophe Heusgen, the diplomatic advisor of the president, of the French president, and of the German chancellor. This is an important visit to the extent that it shows how the president and the chancellor are really deep into the matter, sending, if I may say so, their closest advisors, counselors to Ukraine to see from themselves and see where we are, feel where we are here, feel the difficulties also of the government, of the president, understand where they are and how we can help implementing the Minsk agreement. So that was the idea. They had a meeting with the president, with the prime minister, with many people. They stayed nearly 24 hours, which is quite a long time, and which allowed them to have lots of contacts. And so we will obviously continue working on it, but this visit aimed at understanding better exactly where we are and how we can help in the future weeks.
It might be interesting for you that as a result of the meeting, the deputy chair of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine Committee on European Integration, Maria Ionova, stated that for us, the main topic of discussion was not the Minsk agreements as such, but rather one party's failure to comply with them. We talked more about the Russian Federation being the non-compliant party, and we talked about the OSCE observation mission and the hindrances of their work and so forth. So that was the side from the Ukrainian representative.
We talk a lot about politics. Maybe we can talk also about French business in Ukraine.
Yes, let's do it because we have 3 minutes. 3 minutes left. But
we have a lot of French companies in Ukraine.
Yes.
Yeah,
what about that?
We have about 160 French companies, which is a good number. And we have small companies, bigger companies. And I want to say that France is also a very important investor in Ukraine, $1.6 billion, which is already quite important. And we are going to organize probably in the spring, it's being confirmed now, a business forum in Paris. You might remember that we were going to organize a business forum on the 18th of November that we had to cancel to report because of the attacks on the 13th of November in Paris. But so now we are working again on it, and it's going to be a very important event with the Prime Minister coming to Paris and a mix of political and business meetings. So this is, we are the whole embassy and the whole system is working on it. And we have lots of energy of French business working in Ukraine.
How, seriously, because of a shortage of time, but I can't avoid touching this issue. Euro 2016 in France.
France will win, obviously.
Yes.
Well, we'll definitely cheer for that, but we know that the Ukrainian team is participating.
Yep.
So we're hoping to at least get out of the group contests and competitions. But how are your preparations going alone? And I'm meaning the security as well, and just in general. And another question would be probably the ability of Ukrainian fans to travel.
Yeah.
Will there be a special
We will definitely do our best to help. I can tell you I'm the biggest fan of the Ukrainian team. I really want the Ukrainian team to have a success in France. I mean, you can guess, for me as ambassador, I would be so happy. Obviously, I want the French team to go very far, but it would be a great success for me, in a way, if Ukraine goes far in the contest. So I would be really happy. And we will obviously do all our best to help supporters go to France. As of concerning the security in France, you can guess that everything is being done to ensure security, and I'm sure it will be fine.
Sergey, we have a few minutes to talk about the visa for our Ukrainian friends, about the visa, the policy of the visa. Few words about that, please, because a lot of persons want to know more.
Well, I can tell you that now we are delivering quite a lot of visas. We delivered 33,000 visas in 2015. And now I know that many things are going on concerning liberalization of visa. I have to say, I mean, negotiations are just starting, obviously, so we're just in January. It's the beginning of a process that is probably going to take some time. Member states have to decide to see what are the risks, what are the possibilities, but in any case, the visa-free regime, when there will be one, is going to be, as far as I understand, only for biometric passports. So that's going to be for people having biometric passports. That's an important point for people to know.
So that's important because they are waiting for.
Well, little by little.
Little by little,
you know,
step by
systematic
step.
changes can't take place overnight.
Yeah.
And it's good. We're
step
working
by step.
together. And thank you very much for stopping by.
Merci
thank
beaucoup.
you for finding time
Merci à vous.
to visit with us.
Ja, dziękuję.
It was United Country UAT time by First Ukraine. Our guest was Isabelle Dumont, the ambassador of France to Ukraine.
Olivier Vedrine and Sergey Velichanskiy were working for you in the studio. Stay with us and we'll show to you the real Ukraine.
Thank you for being with us. Have a good day and see you soon.